Hi everybody, it's the Alarm Doctor here again. I wanted to do another video on the Gamewell Peerless mechanisms because there was a couple of versions that I hadn't covered in the other videos that I've done on this. What we have here today is the first generation and second generation Peerless mechanisms. I wanted to point out a couple of things that are the same on these and a couple of subtle differences. First, the things that are the same, they use the Peerless code wheel. They have the solid contact lever. Both mechanisms, the solid contact lever. So both of these mechanisms require the spring shield and the set screw on the code wheel. These are both non-interfering, as you can see by the coils. All the contact insulation points are ceramic in these two mechanisms. Now, like I said, there are some subtle differences, and here's the ones I'd like to point out. First off, the start lever. As you can see, the start lever in this one is brass with a ceramic cover on it. On this version, it's now plastic or possibly bakelite. Also, on the first generation, you still have the square winding stem with a removable flip down winding lever. On the second generation, you have the thread on, either bakelite or plastic, winding knob. These both operate the same. This one, the first generation, would have been found in a cast iron inner case with a cast iron bowl and a flat glass mechanism cover. This version would have been found in the enameled stamped steel inner case. It would have had an enameled stamped steel bowl with the flat glass. There were actually a couple of different versions mechanically of the early design Peerless mechanisms, and that was what they called 8-round PNI and 16-round PNI. What the PNI stood for was positive non-interfering, and what the 8-round and 16-round designation meant was that these mechanisms are non-interfering. So if another box was coming in, these mechanisms would idle until it had its opportunity to get into the circuit and send its alarm. However, because of their design, they would only try to get into the circuit for 8 rounds or 16 rounds, and then they would simply shut off. So if you had a alarm circuit open because of a broken wire and someone tried to send an alarm in on these particular boxes on an open circuit, what would happen is they would attempt to send their alarm either 8 or 16 times, and then they would shut down. Unlike the later version 3 folds, they'll try indefinitely to get into the circuit and send their alarm in, or in the case of a broken wire or an open circuit, after one round they'll go to grounding mode and attempt to send their signal in that way. Okay, what I've attempted to do here is do a little bit of a timeline on these Peerless mechanisms. And of course we'll come over here to the first generation Peerless mechanism, and then of course the second generation Peerless mechanism, 3rd generation Peerless mechanism. And then we'll come back over here, and this would be the 1st generation 3-fold Peerless mechanism. And I call these generations, but there is a little bit of variation. 2nd generation here, usually the only thing you see different between these is sometimes the materials, the metals that are used, and also the insulating materials that are used, as well as the coil wraps. You'll see different coil wraps, some gold, some silver, some this gray. And then of course, here's the generation that's used today. Also, and somewhere in that transition between the 3rd generation original Peerless and the 1st generation 3-fold, they also changed the start lever and the winding knob from black to red. So as you can see, these guys haven't changed much since 1915. And that's a testament to the Gamewell engineers who basically designed these things to last forever. So with that being said, this is the Alarm Doctor. And remember, properly maintained, fire alarm telegraph system is still the fastest, most reliable way to notify the fire department. See you next time.